Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. We'd like to remind you right at the top of the show that all of the meetings that we cover here on Barnstable Today can be viewed in their entirety online. Just visit the town's website at www.town.barnstable.ma.us. At the school committee's meeting on Tuesday night, Superintendent Dr. Patricia Grenier made her initial fiscal year 2011 budget presentation, marking the beginning of another budgetary season that promises to be far less trying than last year's. We'll get to those highlights in just a moment, but first, Dr. Grenier shares with the school committee some exciting news about the high school's growing ability to keep kids from dropping out and to help advanced students more fully achieve their potential.
In the year 2004, the dropout rate for Barnstable High School was 5.6%. Our latest figures for 2008 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is 2.5. That's an incredible effort on behalf of the high school staff and administration to focus on students that need support. As Patrick talked about the AP classes, at our next meeting we're going to have a presentation on the AP classes and the growth of the AP program and the number of students who pass. But just while we're experiencing success with students who need to be drawn into school and reconnected to school, I just quickly wanted to say that in the year 2005 there were 6 sections of AP classes at the high school, and this year we are offering 31 sections. This year alone there are 638 students at the high school who are taking an advanced placement class, and the passing rate, getting a score of 3 or better, was 67% of the students who took the exams last year. 67% got a 3 or higher. So we'll have a more in-depth presentation on that, but that just gives you a real flavor of the success of the high school, and we're talking at both ends of the spectrum, and then certainly the people say you just teach to the middle. Well, I would say that we're addressing students at all ends, all along the continuum.
Now let's get to the highlights of Dr. Grenier's budget presentation. After the painful process of cutting nearly $6 million to balance the current school budget, things are looking much brighter for Barnstable Public Schools, at least in the near future. Here, Dr. Grenier explains that school officials believe they've found a way to deliver a level services budget with no layoffs or program reductions, not only for fiscal year 2011, but for 2012 as well.
As Anne Marie and I met with every principal and every director in doing the budget discussions in December, we asked them, can you in fact live with a level service budget? And the definition of level service is very different than level funded. Level fund means same money year to year. That's not what we're asking for. We're asking level service, meaning what we will provide next year, what we have provided this year. And with the exception, as I pointed out, of the English language learner position and the high school class size, almost to a principal, the answer was yes. The answer was yes to every principal and director. The secondary response was, if I could have more, this is what I would like back. And for every person, it was more support for answering those 2 questions. The differentiation, the extra time, the interventions, the supports, both on all spectrums. That being said, the staff said if we could have level service in this fiscal climate, we would be incredibly grateful. So we set out to do that, and it's a little bit challenging because we get revenue from the town, we get revenue from the state, we get revenue from independent sources. So I want to be careful of how I explain this to you, and I'll invite Anne Marie, who has worked with me for the last 2 weeks on this, to jump in at any time if it needs clarification. Anne Marie. So earlier I said to you the town gave us something in the line of $57 million for town money to the schools, but when I added all those other funding sources, the actual cost to fund the budget without grants was $59.6 million. In order to have level service next year, we need $60 million, 60.1 or almost 60.2 million. The difference between what's available from town revenue, which is what Mark Milne has projected, we can have $57.5 million from the town. We're sort of short, as you would say, $2.6 million, kind of a funding gap here. What we are projecting for the committee's approval for the next fiscal year is that level service would cost $60.19 million. The town can give us $57.5. We will add $361,000 from school choice account. We will add $1.3 million from the circuit breaker account. We will add $200,000, as we've done before, from transportation fees. And we have not, usually at this point, we factor in what we call breakage is the savings for retirement, but we didn't factor it in. We took an estimate of we'll experience $100,000 savings next year with the retirements. By the February presentation, that will probably be gone, and it will be incorporated into the line item, and that figure will probably go down. That, if we add in all those funds, which are reoccurring revenue funds, but fragile ones, albeit, we are shy of $700,000 what we need to balance the budget, the request. Our funds are not a reoccurring revenue. They're a 2-year revenue, this fiscal year and next fiscal year. I am proposing that the committee use $700,000 of ARA funding. And we received ARA funding, that's the American Recovery and Reinvestment, thank you, Act. And we received funds through grants, the Title I grant, the Early Childhood Special Education grant, and the Special Education grant. And you are allowed, a district is allowed to use 50% of its ARA money, Special Education grant ARA money, for what they call maintenance of effort. Maintenance of effort means making sure that you maintain a funding level of special education services year to year. We can use $700,000 to do that. The rest of the $700,000 that we got, the other portion, $700,000, had to be used for programs and services, which we've done. If we use that money, we actually can balance this budget and keep level service for next year. What this is setting up is that we can do this for fiscal 11. And we have actually estimated out fiscal 12 and believe we can continue to fund fiscal 12 with minimal use of the savings account, but then there really is a financial problem if revenues don't start to pick up. So I don't want to mislead you into saying that we can do this every year. This is sort of one time, more than one time, but it's dependent. Our funds aren't here a year from now, so we're borrowing $700,000 potentially.
The school committee will deliver a final budget to the town council by mid-March after several more discussions and public hearings. Now, taking a look at the meeting schedule for the rest of the week, the Zoning Board of Appeals meets tonight at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall hearing room. Also, Old Kings Highway meets at 7 tonight at the West Barnstable Community Building. There are no meetings scheduled for Thursday or Friday. Well, that's all the time we have for now. I'm Nick Cortese. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.